It was the 21st of April 2020. We've almost been in a lockdown for a month now. We were officially told on the 23rd of March 2020, which happens to be my son's birthday. And for all of us, it means different things. And I was writing my blog for LorraineGleason.com website, and it actually took me ages because every time I found myself writing something, I was getting angry because there's lots of different emotions going on. And for me, keep seeing everywhere, stay at home, be safe. It was making me more and more angry. And I actually started analysing myself. And as I was writing my blog, all the things were coming out of what I was thinking and what I was feeling. And I was getting very political. I was getting very prejudiced. I was getting very biased. And one of the things I realised, actually, I'm not naturally an angry person. But on the 23rd of March 2020, our lives were changed. Suddenly, our freedom was disappeared. Suddenly, we had all these rules that we had to follow. And whether they are right rules or wrong rules, we're yet to see what's happening. But I found myself on this roller coaster. And it's okay to have feelings. We can't all be positive all the time. And once I actually acknowledged that, and I actually acknowledged what was making me angry, it wasn't what had happened. It was triggering off responses that I had from a child. When I was young, home wasn't a particularly safe place. It wasn't a place I ever wanted to be. I acknowledged that, and I thought, actually, that's what this slogan, stay at home, be safe, that's what it was triggering in me. It went right back to my childhood. And once I'd acknowledged it, once I'd had that light bulb moment, why am I struggling so much with these feelings? Then I could let them go. Because as an adult, my home is safe. I'm very, very blessed. And I was able to write my blog. And, within my blog, I was saying, what does stay at home mean to you? Is it a safe place? Is it a scary place? Is it a place of isolation? Is it lonely? Does it trigger memories of childhood, whether they're good memories or bad memories? Do you have a home? And it is okay for all of us to have feelings. And because for us, it's like suddenly a death of our old lives, of where we were going, where we thought we were going. You may have holidays booked. I had holidays booked. So suddenly your whole life has stopped and we have to reassess. And when I think back to when the lockdown first went down, as we grow up, we develop what we call defence mechanisms. Now, defence mechanisms are behaviours that we learn to be able to protect ourselves, to be able to distort reality. And one of my great defence mechanisms, if I pretend it didn't happen, it didn't happen. That's very British. It was my mum. We never talked about feelings, we never talked about emotions. If we didn't talk about them, it didn't count. So on the 23rd of March, for me to suddenly be told, you can't go out, you've got to do all this social distancing, you're only allowed out for exercise once a day, you're only allowed to buy essentials. And it took me a while because I bury my head in the sand to pretend this didn't happen. Well, it has happened. And it's still happening, and at the moment we can all guess on how we're going to come out of lockdown or how we're not going to come out of lockdown. But how do you deal with your emotions? And in my blog on LorraineGleason.com, I actually wrote about how to deal with the unwanted feelings. The first thing we have to do when we're dealing with feelings, we can't reflect our feelings out, because the fact is, our feelings are our feelings and we're all feeling different. So if you have unwanted feelings, if you're feeling scared, or if you're feeling worried, or if you get stressed every time you see somebody out breaking what you consider to be being the rules, that's reflecting it out. You need to sit with your own feelings and understand where they're coming from, what's making you feel this way, because the fact is we cannot affect anybody that's out there. If they're going to break the rules, there's nothing you and I can do. Okay, you can report them to the police, but I actually think the police are very, very busy and they're focused on maybe not one or two people breaking the rules, but big gangs. So unless you just choose to report, basically it's just going to make you angry, you upset, you scared. So it's about, first of all, whatever you're feeling, sit down and think about what's making you feel this way. For me, I actually found writing my blog over and over again, my feelings kept coming out. I would never have published any of them because they were my feelings, my thoughts. But what I was realising was, as I was just writing, I was beginning to understand why I was where I was at. Because you can't bury your head in the sand. We have got to change our lifestyles. We do need to do, as we are told, that's something I don't enjoy doing either as well. Hence why I'm a hypnotherapist. And when I wrote my training course, it doesn't, I found it very difficult teaching other people's stuff, particularly when, with my career, I found a way that wasn't the way other people worked. And so when I was teaching, I wanted to teach how I work. So I'm naturally a rule breaker. I naturally will have a go at things. I'll do things differently. So for me, to suddenly have all these rules that actually we need to abide by, because we need to help, we need to slow this virus down, we need to help the NHS and everything else that we're all doing. And we need to be sensible with it. So once I'd owned my feelings, or where it was coming from, and if you're getting angry at someone because they're breaking the rules or they're not doing necessarily what you do, you need to own what's causing your anger. And I strongly suspect it's fear. Where does this fear come from? Now, as long as you keep away from those people that are breaking the rules, it's not going to affect you personally. And then you could say, well, if everyone keeps breaking the rules, everyone is not breaking the rules. If you heard of the 80-20 rule, 80% against 20, and that goes across most things of life. When I work with clients with weight loss, I always say to them, it's 80% of what you eat, 20% exercise. In business, it's 80. You get 80% of your work from that revenue, 20% from the other. The 80-20 rule works. And as long as it's working in the way you want it to, and if you think about this country, there's 80% following the rules, 20% are breaking them. And as long as it stays that way, it will slow the virus down. And if you take that 80-20 rule just a little bit further, if you take the 20% that are breaking them, or bending them slightly, because in that, as long as that 20% are just bending, 80% are bending them, then again you've got even a smaller proportion, because we know we shouldn't be having gatherings, and we should social distance. So if you actually think about what's happening, if you're angry because people aren't abiding, the majority of us are. I'm a real rule breaker. And it's good sometimes. That's how we get new inventions, new ideas, by trying something different. So the outside world you cannot change them. The only person you can change is yourself. And we all have a choice how we react. And in my blog, I'm saying you have to own, why are you getting angry at this? With me, I was getting angry at the slogan, stay at home. That was just firing me up every time. It might be blaming the government for what's happening. Do you get really angry and really passionate about it? Do people on Facebook really wind you up because their opinion isn't the same as yours? It's very rare that I ever put my opinions on Facebook, because actually, when you've got an opinion, it's highly unlikely that anyone's going to change it for you, particularly on a Facebook post. So if that's angering you, ask yourself, what is it that's making you feel this way? And when you understand what you're feeling, and you allow those feelings to run through, then you can start focusing on what is good in your life. You see, I'm very lucky. I've got a garden, and I absolutely love it. I've been in the garden all day today. I absolutely garden. Music, I love listening to music. Oh, and I am actually binge watching some of the box sets that you can, and there are things that you could start focusing on, the good things. But one of the things I really wanted to say here is it is okay to have feelings. In my blog, I was talking about how you can write them down, and once you've actually worked out what it is that's making you angry, some of us it could be sadness, it could be fear, it could be worry. Once you've acknowledged it, don't always run away from unwanted feelings. Actually sit with your unwanted feelings, understand them. And when you understand them, because one of the great things is when you're feeling positive, you're feeling upbeat, you're feeling energised, you're healthier. Your immune system is working better. And during this time, this is what you want. You want to stay as healthy as you can. You want a strong immune system. And one of the best ways to do it is to think positively. And that's saying, if you believe you can or you believe you can't, you are right. So I do hope that you stay safe and that you're one of the fortunate ones in the lockdown, and that you're okay with following the rules.